it's dark. It's too dark. It's very scary in here. Ah. There's the Earth. Hello, Earth. Well, hello to all of you. That's right, I'm talking to you right now. It's just the beginning of the stream. How weird. It's like an out-of-body experience. No, you're not having a stroke. It's Thanksgiving. It's time for us to have a little bit of day fun here together on this holiday. Hopefully I will have enough time to do a stream tonight. But I figured I would get us some Thanksgiving Day fun right now. Preparations have been lacking on this particular stream, but we should be able to, I think, achieve that goal of fun. Moanolp is first. Hey, there we go. Now we can hear the Twitch notifications. How good. Anyways, 1, 2, 3. Moanolp. I'm sorry. I just stole it from Duck. Donald Duck. Moanolp. Anti-corporatist. With your mom coming in a close fourth. I almost stole Duck Valor just now. Stolen aviary valor, unacceptable. All right, let's just get to the stream. We don't even have to hang out, wait for people to show up. Nothing too important today. Just the Thanksgiving, the Turkey Day stream fun. You know, let's just do it. Start it off. What do you say? I'm not even gonna get all detective-y on you right now. We're just gonna go straight into it. Does Thanksgiving need detective work? Well, maybe a little, but I don't think we need a soliloquy from me. All right. Let's start. Hello. I am here. Okay. We're gonna let Joe Biden take it off. If you missed this yesterday, here's a repeat of this. Joe Biden with his presidential duties.
This White House tradition began when Turkey was presented to President Truman. And that president, then President George H.W. Bush, began pardoning turkeys. In the last 4 years, I've had the honor to continue that tradition by pardoning peanut butter and jelly, chocolate and chip, Liberty and Bell, and today, Peach and Blossom will join the free birds of the United States of America.
Ah, yes, Peach and Blossom. They're here to help welcome us into 4 years of fascism, which will be blossoming, if you will, into a fascist fruit any time now. Should be exciting for the whole nation and the world.
Based on your temperament and commitment to being productive members of society, I hereby pardon Peach and Blossom. I'm staying in the race.
All right, 2 turkeys were saved, supposedly. We have no evidence of their current whereabouts. So I'm a little bit dubious, skeptical, if you will, on the whole situation. Now, just for fun, I don't know why I decided this would be fun. I'm sure it will be. I haven't seen it yet. Fingers crossed, chat. Let's go here. Forbes breaking news. 2 hours ago. Thanksgiving flashback. Ooh, going back in time.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
Mr. President.
Oh God, it's Reagan. Oh boy. Oh, this turkey says, I didn't even commit a crime. Don't even pardon me, because that means I have to admit to a felony, and I did not do shit. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, Gipper. Okay.
Hello there. I think I maybe came in too fast.
Nice to see you again. Remember you
yes,
spoke at our convention
1979.
Yeah, that was
San Diego.
Is this from SNL? No, this is from the Reagan Presidential Library.
Nice to see you.
And you said I will.
No, this is history.
Sure
That's what this is.
Yes.
Frankie down too.
Now, you all right already?
Yeah, he's all right now. We appreciate very much being here today, but you're tremendously busy.
Why the cowboy hats?
Well,
oh, right, because Ronald Reagan played a cowboy. I think that's why this is happening. It's at least too many cowboy hats for this particular moment.
We had a report on your
especially considering the
press club.
The sort of historical implications of all of that on this particular day. It just seems in bad taste. I know one of the people wearing those hats is a kid, so sorry, my brain is broken. One of these people is a kid, so he's gonna get a pass. Dad is gonna take double duty here on the sort of horrible timing of this hat choice.
Just superb.
Well,
if there's any day to not wear a cowboy hat, it's this day. This is the exact day to not do it. If you were thinking, if you wear a lot of cowboy hats, you're like, man, there should be a day where I don't wear a cowboy hat. It's today. It's today. Write that down.
Is this just between us, or do you want them to?
We were riding to the airport yesterday afternoon, and my mother was talking about in Arkansas that they were trying to pass a law to give 150 or pay people standing in their homes instead of going to the old folks' home. I made the comment. I said I didn't think they should give anything. I thought we should take care of our own. You know.
Well, you know what? It's like a glimpse into the future, into the past. You know, because that's the vibes we're about to definitely be getting. You know, people were saying, why keep old people in their homes when we could just put them in concentration camps? It's easier, they're closer together, and we could take care of our own instead. Seems like quite an idea. Ronald Reagan seems all about that idea. Okay. Back to the Turkey Day stuff. Okay, let's hit this one up. We hit this out yesterday, but if you weren't here, this could be useful information for you. In the very near future, depending on your plans this evening. Let's go to the Associated Press, where they've got a therapist here to help us with some Thanksgiving Day tips.
We're seeing a lot of people come to us talking about pre-Thanksgiving angst. Absolutely. Because unfortunately, this election has been very divisive in families, especially in between generations. Families are coping with that disagreement by either having rules, which is, we're not going to talk about politics at the table because we know that we don't agree and I love you very much, but
I still love this. This is still my favorite idea. I do recommend everybody show up, or if you're hosting, post some form of rules in your home, preferably large print for the elderly individuals in your family. Maybe keep the syllable count down as simple as possible. You know, if your family is the sort of rule following types, if you will. Good work. I don't know. Who's to say? Still thinking little the potentiality of this it might be lacking a little bit. All right, let's go here. CBS Colorado from 2 hours ago. Denver Rescue Mission hosts annual Thanksgiving banquet.
Now in Denver, where the Denver Rescue Mission held its annual Thanksgiving banquet on Wednesday. Guests at the Lawrence Street Community Center were treated to a traditional Thanksgiving meal with all the fixings. Colorado Senator John Hickenlooper was there to help hand out plates of food. The president and CEO of the Denver Rescue Mission says there are still more ways to help.
We absolutely could use volunteers for Christmas. People can still donate turkeys. And then also, this is our year-end giving season, and the vast majority of the funds that we need for the entire year.
Wait, am I losing my mind? Did he say urine giving season? Is that a thing that people need? Seems readily available. I must have missed something there. Okay, let's go here to Alaska, where they are dropping turkeys from above.
I grew up in the bush in the rural Alaska, so there's no roads. The only way that you can get there is by airplane, by snowmobile, or boat if you're on the river. And so we
exactly
had a
space
family
turkeys. Well,
friend
almost
that would
sky turkeys.
Airdrop turkeys to my family and other families in the area for Thanksgiving. At that moment, I thought, you know, I'm gonna airdrop them a turkey because I had just finished rebuilding my first airplane with my dad.
This is hilarious to me.
And it would have been super easy and simple just to
There's something
surprise
about
them and drop them a turkey. And then once I started preparing for that, I thought,
turkeys.
you know, I'm not going to leave anyone out in the area. I want to do that to everyone that lives out there through the winter.
It's just hilarious to me. I can't. I can't help myself. All right, let's go on to this. Oh my God, it's getting crazy out there in space. Let's take a peek at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Well, actually, let's look at the preparations for it first before we go to the parade in whole. Here we go. They are floating these floats. You gotta put the air in these things, get them up there so they can be building-sized cartoons for all of us.
Fun and lighthearted and being together
So
with
great.
family.
A lot of colors and they're so big, and I just want to see Spider-Man and Kermit the Frog.
Not gonna lie, this kid seems kind of disappointed he's here. His face this whole time has been, why don't I get to play with my iPad right now? That's the vibe I'm getting from this kid. Let's try this again. Like this kid seems active and engaged. This kid's like, why are we here?
Fun and lighthearted.
I think they're twins.
Being together with family.
A lot of colors and they're so big, and I just want to see Spider-Man and Kermit the Frog.
He's like, I can see those on my iPad.
The Macy's Parade are unique. They all have different scale and size. They have different chambers. One of the things that people don't know about is that to make a giant balloon of this scale, it's actually several balloons pulled together. So you make, you know, the hand might be one balloon, the nose might be another balloon, and those are all then heat sealed together to make the larger balloon. So
You think it's sort of stage fright? He doesn't know what to do on TV. Could be. All right. Let's go to the parade. How about it? Wait, before we do that, maybe this is something we should talk about. The fingers make you uncomfortable? Like the fingers on the floats? Why is that? Wait, this is not the one.
Making our way across Manhattan, we pass familiar sights that give every block its own personality. Liquor store.
We'll watch this later on the second Turkey Day stream. The Turkey Night. It'll be the Turkey Day Night stream.
This continent has some of the most dramatic landscapes on the planet. From the ocean shorelines to the alpine mountains and the sandy deserts. And also in this landmass from coast to coast and everywhere in between, there lived hundreds, if not thousands of different nations, tribes of people whose land this was. This was their home. But then others showed up to these shorelines in their boats. And that is when everything changed.
It just felt like the perfect day to discuss some of this stuff.
In the spring of 1803, two American politicians visiting Paris closed the sweetest real estate deal they had ever seen. With the simple stroke of a pen, their country doubled in size,
second on Twitch.
all for just $15 million. But in this deal, which was called the Louisiana Purchase, the U.S.
Wow, the whole
didn't
country for
actually
$15 million,
buy this land
huh?
from France. France didn't actually own the land. What the United States was buying was the imperial rights to this huge swath of North America. This basically meant that France would stay out of the way and let the budding new empire, the United States, colonize it without interfering. If the United States really wanted ownership over this land, they would need to get it from the people who were here first, which at the time was lots of different native tribes. These are the people who had been here for thousands of years, way before Europeans had the idea of leaving their continent. And this land that the US just bought was theirs. Oh, and this isn't just me, like some modern enlightened person looking back and judging the United States at this time. The US knew that this wasn't their land and that they were going to have to buy it from the people living there. And their big plan was to do things differently. Not like the old imperial powers that they had just broken away from.
We're gonna do the patriarchy right this time.
Quote, determined that the US government's administration of Indian affairs shall be directed entirely by the great principles of justice and humanity. Go USA, let's do this in the right way. So instead of conquest, they would negotiate and sign formal treaties with these native nations. Then they would pay them for their land, fair and square. After all, this was a country whose founding document highlights justice, tranquility, welfare, and liberty. In our series, How the US Stole, we get to see how the US grew from a group of English settlers to a global superpower. But none of those stories would exist without this one, the origin story, the first thing that the US ever stole. So Europeans are pouring into this newly formed country, the United States. And the government is making deals and signing treaties with the tribes, allowing these newcomer immigrants to settle on their land. At first, this is a fairly peaceful transactional process. The US would offer food, farming equipment, cash, the services of a block.
Now, even this aspect of it, and the fact is, Mr. Harris here sort of glosses over the initial portion of all of this, and the fact is, even this part is highly disputed historically, if you will. There's a great deal of contention as to whether the Native Americans themselves understood the nature of the land deals which were proposed by the the colonialist settlers at this time. You know, they hadn't had a whole lot of contact. There had been some, of course, but you know, also the concept of land ownership was slightly different in Native American society than it was in, you know, Western, you know, European society.
Smith, all in exchange for ownership over this land. But unsurprisingly, a lot of these tribes had no interest in moving out of their ancestral lands in exchange for, like, farming equipment.
Harris is contentious himself.
George Washington's
Look,
ideals of justice.
It's Thanksgiving, okay? We're gonna have fun today. I know. I know. Believe me, I've watched his videos before. There's plenty of times where I watch his videos, and I'm like, "Geez, you just sort of glossed over some important historical context there, and things like that."
This inhumanity really start to dissolve. The US was becoming a more powerful nation. They needed more land for their booming population. So the impatient settlers and their government started playing dirty.
But the fact is, like with Harris, like he's one of those guys out there that is, I think, attempting to do at least service to these things, and is trying to fit them in a certain format. And because of that, some things I like to attribute at least some of his perhaps deficiencies in some places just to that. You know, makes perfect sense. He's got to get these videos to a certain size, can have people watching 7-hour videos or something like that.
Movement was like a great tidal wave.
You start to see what happens when these tribes say no to the newly powerful United States. In one instance, one group of tribes up near the Great Lakes didn't want to sell their land. They told the United States that this river would be the border and to not cross it, to stay off their land. The US said no, and they took them to war and lost twice. But on the third time, they won the battle and forced the tribes to sign a treaty giving away all of this land. Basically, all of present-day Ohio. Something very similar happened down here when the Seminole tribes refused to leave their land. The US military came in, another war, killing thousands, forcing the tribes to sign a treaty and pushing them into the swampy interior of the state, where they had no access to their farmland or the ocean. Down here in what was becoming Alabama, the Muskogee Nation refused to sign a relocation treaty, but not wanting to go to war, agreed to sell a portion of their land in return for a guarantee that they could keep the rest. And the United States agreed, and they actually did. And the Muskogee kept their ancestral lands forever. Womp womp, no, that didn't happen. 4 years
why
later,
must
a bunch
you do
of white
this to
settlers
us?
moved in, boxing the Muskogee out of their ancestral land. As tensions grew because of this violated agreement, the US military was called in to force the Muskogee out of their lands. No treaty was ever signed. I mean, the shenanigans ranged the whole gamut here. They would get tribal leaders drunk to trick them into signing this paper that gave them all the land. They would appoint random people to be the tribal leaders and then tell them to sign away the land for the whole tribe. In another conflict, the Sioux and Arapaho nations defeated the US military over and over until the US finally signed a peace treaty acknowledging their land. And they were safe. Until gold was discovered years later,
damn it.
and the U.S. broke their treaty, redrew the boundaries,
Why do you
built
keep doing
roads
this
on
to
their
us,
land,
Johnny?
and before you know it, you've got a bunch of white guys with gold pans harvesting this land.
No,
Treaties
no. That's not great. That's not great. I thought we had that figured out. Weren't we doing all this, all these treaties? This is feeling very reminiscent to some stuff we've been dealing with lately.
And before you know it, you've got a bunch of white guys with gold pans harvesting this land. Treaties and justice be damned. Eventually, other tribes caught on to what was going to happen, realizing that refusing the US government would mean violence. So they would sign the paper, take the money, and leave.
A bunch of stuff happens between all of that and what we're about to see here. Where is it? Oklahoma. Oklahoma. Where is this vid? This vid is Johnny Harris vid, how the USA colonized the USA.
And it was enshrined in law. We have a paper trail of all of it, showing the receipts, the payments, the treaties, the bureaucracy of it all. It's like a bunch of spreadsheets from the 1800s. American settlers, in an effort to be different from the old world empires they fled, ended up carrying out the first state-sponsored ethnic cleansing. There's a reason why Hitler, 100 years later, references this exact event, this process, when he was carrying out his own ethnic cleansing. He said that the Volga, which was a river in Russia, would be, quote, our Mississippi. He said that Europe, not America, would be the land of unlimited possibilities. The story of what happened to many nations of the first Americans doesn't end here. In fact, this is kind of the beginning. We're gonna make a second part to this video, and in that part 2, I wanna show you what happens next once these tribes arrive to their little rectangle on the map.
Yes.
Indian Territory.
So at this point,
these tribes were forced.
If you've noticed, we are now in the 20th century. This is in 1902 that this is starting off in, essentially.
Their little rectangle on the map. Indian Territory, the place where these tribes were forced out, dumped, and left to build a new life. And how they once again tried to fight back using the legal frameworks that had pushed them out. And how all of that led to the establishment of one state in our country that could have looked a lot different.
All right. Actually, I forgot. There's a separate video on Oklahoma that we're going to get to in a moment. But before we do that, I figured we deserve to at least watch the parade. That being the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Really the obligatory of parades to watch on this day of thanks for, I guess... once again, I said it yesterday, I just don't know who we're thanking for all of this. I'm just glad we have Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar here. But I guess we're thanking ourselves for the ethnic cleansing? It's confusing. Gotta get the McDonald's float in here. Gotta get it in there. That's a menacing float. It does. I think it's got to be terrifying for at least some group of people. I know that fear of clowns is a very real thing. This is Macy's celebrating, I guess, the demise of retail? I don't know. Yay. Macy's was once Canadian? Well, guess what? We've appropriated it. It's ours now. I guess we're celebrating cake? I'm not sure. I guess it's just cake and surprise? Cake and surprise. Surprised cakes. Everybody's looking very wet at this parade right now. Rainy Thanksgiving Day parade. Not as exciting. As maybe snow would be better, I would say. Yeah, snow would sort of actually really bring it all together. It used to snow at this time of year in New York, and yet there's still trees with leaves on them. It's honestly weird. It's a weird vibe at this point. They should all be basically on the ground now. But it's been unseasonably warm in New York this fall. What is this float of? Can somebody tell me what that is? Is it a balloon? And what's behind it? Like, that's what's confusing me. I can't figure out what's behind it. Wait, is that Bluey? Is that a Bluey float? What's happening here? Cheerleaders? Okay. Hey, we need people to cheer us on for this Thanksgiving. Get through this. Yeah, I think it is Bluey. It looks it's hard to tell because it's on its it's on its stomach. Go back to the Bluey float. Okay? We're trying to deduce something important. Bluey had to be repaired and almost didn't make it. My God. There would have been a lot of disappointed people out there. Or should I say, disappointed people. Bluey is an Australian cartoon. If you're not aware, very cute, very cute show. Not gonna lie. Even as an adult, I think it's honestly one of the better children's cartoons out there that I've seen floating around. And in this moment, literally. Oh, wait, no sound. There we go. Ruined my timing just now. This one dude dressed like, honestly, this dude is dressed like, I look at this guy and I immediately think, am I the only person that sees Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou in this man? It's raining, pick another day. You can't pick another day, okay? Thanksgiving happens on a particular day. We can't just randomly go picking days, okay? It's the third Thursday of November of every November, okay? That is the level of specificity which we are going to stick to. You didn't know the Macy's Day Parade was a Thanksgiving thing? My God. This is the entertainment for many families during the sort of interim period when the food's being cooked but not eaten during the day. This is an important aspect of Thanksgiving. If there's no football on at this moment, the Thanksgiving... and in fact, I think they intentionally don't put football on during the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And then the football comes immediately after it. For the very reason this is an integral aspect of our giving thanks for having a country we stole a long time ago. Not that long ago, actually, like 100 years ago. Well, we've been stealing it progressively for hundreds of years. But it's a tradition. We're going to stick to it. Thank you very much. You were definitely right. That's definitely Bluey. This is definitely Bluey. Alright, keep it moving, keep it moving. What else we got? What's this? Was there a Bluey chant? I'm not sure. I wasn't listening. I was talking. What's happening? What is this float? Alex Warren. I don't know who that is. Great job, Alex. I don't know what you do, but you're doing great holding that guitar. Are you is this guy Alex? Who are these people? Kinder? Oh, it's the Kinder. It's Kinder. It's the chocolate people, of course. It's the holidays. Gotta get those Kinder eggs sold somehow. There would be no other reason for the existence of that candy if it were not for the holidays. Is that a walking chocolate bar? the walking chocolate bar? Just flash the audience? My God. Cover your eyes, folks. Cover your... Oh my God, that is risque. What's happening here? These French school children? What am I looking at? Bonjour! I don't know what that was. I don't know who these people are, what they're meant to represent. We're just gonna go with French school children. Okay, we got some music going now. Oh, the party is really starting to get in full here. I can see a faint SpongeBob in the distance there. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to yaddy. Are they therefore 100 blowing us? The marching band? There's at least 400 of them here, I think. Maybe 298 blowing us. Trying to do the math. Come on. Give us the music. The last group was 400 blowing us? The French school children? Is that a walking marimba? My God, this is a serious marching band. You people need signs, okay? You need signs. We have no idea why you're here. Give me something to work with, people. You're done with Novara. I've been hearing some weird things about Novara recently, and they are a channel we use quite often for UK-based stuff. And I think doesn't MIDI or Autumn mod for Novara too? I heard something about some sort of anti-trans talk at Novara. I haven't seen it, but I heard about it from somebody. It's all giving me concerns. Okay, look at that. He's got Gary on his back. It's a pretty sweet SpongeBob float. I'm not familiar with the Novara drama. I'm busy doing the things that I do, you know? Sometimes I miss the drama stuff while looking through the news stuff. Sort of my main focus. Oh, and we got Dora the Explorer coming up the rear here. And then what appears to be a large group of people. What is happening here? And why are they in radiation suit? Or whatever that seems. I can't see quite well. But am I losing my mind? Do they not look like just a bunch of... Okay, I know they're supposed to be SpongeBob SquarePants themed, but what they actually look like is Breaking Bad themed. They look like they're Walter White themed outfits in this rain. Like they're about to go cook some meth or something. The float's good though. I'll give them points on the float for sure. Okay, up closer it's not quite as obvious, but still a weird vibe. And then there's a Gary powered buggy bag here with a pirate. Arrgh, matey. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Gotta get the hashtag Ram trucks in there. I wonder how much Ram paid for that advertisement. Okay. Don't know who this lady is. Dressed very fancily. I'm not sure how that is Dora the Explorer themed. Although maybe that's a different float. Maybe that's unrelated to the Dora the Explorer theme. I assumed it was. It's like tropical and stuff, but maybe I'm wrong. Dora looks ready to explore everywhere right now. All over New York. Look at that. Look at that face. That's a face of a young lady who's ready to face the obstacles of the world. Dora will be deported very quickly. Oh god. Oh god, too soon. It's too soon, Bob. It's too soon. Or is it? Oh god. Don't remind us. It's Thanksgiving. No, but seriously, that is a great point. Heck yeah, these walking trees and flowers are killing it right now, if you ask me. For a second, I thought they were real. That's how good they were doing. It's the woke parade. Woke parade. I feel like the ponchos are definitely making the parade worse, right? Like, is it just me, or you know? I'm sure that these outfits are very expensive, but I want to be able to see all the work that's gone into these things, and instead, we're forced to look at them through layers of plastic, rain protective gear. What's going on here? Is it just dinosaurs? Is there like a big dinosaur movie out that I'm unaware of? Or are we just like, just sort of doing whatever this year? What's happening here? Yeah, but the costumes, you're right. They would be ruined probably. It's not Yoshi. They're clearly just dinosaurs. Then there's a bigger dinosaur being ridden by a smaller dinosaur. People aren't robots. What? What?
What? What'd you drum up?
I have no idea what you mean by that. Dino and baby dino. Literally. Oh, okay. I was really hoping this sign would give us a little more clarity on what we're looking at here, but no, I about as much description as I got from afar. Dino being ridden by baby dino. That's exactly what we're looking at, people. I don't know who sponsored this. Sinclair? Wait. Like Sinclair Broadcasting? Wait, HF? I killed on. I gotta look. I can't. You can barely read this. Oh, good focus. Thanks for. Oh, thanks for that. Oh, it's the gas comp. Oh, fucking hell. These assholes. Why do we need fossil fuel advertisements on this day of thanks? Maybe we should spend the time giving thanks for the fact that we still have a Earth in lieu of people like Sinclair? I don't know. Just thinking out loud. But really, let's be real. Let's be really, really real. This whole thing is about capitalism. You know, it's about advertising, double advertising. Because I mean, thankfully, this is the Associated Press feed, so we don't have that obligatory advertising. But of course, you know, networks like CBS or whatever are getting in double the advertisements. You got the visual advertisements walking by you, and then of course you got the extra, you know, extra ads on the TV, and all the messaging and the Black Friday stuff. So life, why would you tell me to bookmark a Navarra vid from chat? Just put it in Discord. Like 2,000 times easier for me to remember. Alright, Paw Patrol, you can go to hell. Okay, Paw Patrol. Sorry, buddy. University of Massachusetts Amherst? Okay. Weird. I'm not sure why you're all here. I'm a little confused. You'd think maybe NYU would be here? But no. Whoa, strong stance on Paw Patrol. That's right. That's right, I'm shutting him down. Shots fired, Saul Cedar. Where did Saul Cedar even come into this discussion? By the way, I hope that you're enjoying this in lieu of the majority report today. I figured we all needed something to do during the day before I'm sure many of us go and attempt to get through Thanksgiving type stuff this evening. Saul loves Paw Patrol? Still? Isn't Saul like 15 now or something? He's getting too old for Paw Patrol. Come on. Come on, Saul. And, I mean, in my estimation, to some degree, Paw Patrol is basically just propaganda for kids. He's in 6th grade now? I feel like he's older than that. Maybe he's not too old for Paw Patrol. I thought he was in his teen years at this point. At which point I would say Paw Patrol is going to go the way of the dodo, if you will. You're never too old for Paw Patrol? Okay, if you say so. I would disagree with that statement. Was Owen Morgan on earlier? Cool, cool, cool. Alright, gonna... Oh, Spider-Man. Spidey. And the, Lady Liberty's torch. Just the torch, not Lady Liberty. What do we need her for? It's the future. Lady Liberty's back in the kitchen, but we got her torch. Spidey. What if a naked Trump started floating down the street? Let's hope. We can only hope and pray. I can see a One Piece back there. Actually, his name's not One Piece, is it? What is his name? Whatever. Whatever that kid's name's supposed to be. Luffy, thank you. Luffy. Luffy D. Pirate Man. These Spider-Man costumes, they look so sad in the rain. I need more energy from you people. Come on, you are carrying the quintessential float of this goddamn parade. I need at least 10 times more excitement from all of you. Spider-Man's got some serious quads on. Things are popping. That Spidey suit can barely contain those quads. Thunder thighs, if you will. Too much rain and wind, can't let it get too high. That would be an epic, I mean, if anything, that would be an improvement at this point. If one of these floats just sort of got loose. Maybe that's just me, but I'd like my parades to have a little excitement, okay? A little, maybe the unexpected. How did Luffy get further away? I don't know. Do I look like I'm in charge of the floats here? Okay, we need the marching band of South Dakota, of course. How else will we get through this parade? If they don't do a rendition of This Land of Liberty on this day of thanks, how will we know that we're thankful? Luffy is a secondary situation. It would be bad if no, you're right. You're right. It would. I'm just thinking of it with a fanfare. Of course, you know, if it actually got away, there would be some ramifications to that. In the moment, just momentarily, it would be fun, and then it would get bad. Planes suddenly have to avoid Spider-Man. At some point, even I might have to avoid that Spider-Man. Real problems. Spider-Man taking down satellites and small space casters. Okay, buddy, settle down. Although I do like the energy. Okay. Looks like we got a Disney float up in front, maybe? Yeah. I see Mickey. I see Donald and, not Donald, Daffy and, no, wait. Shit. Whatever their names are. I can't even think of their names. Good job, me. Great job. You're doing great. This is professional commentary, everybody. Enjoy it. Can't get this anywhere else. Thank you. Look, whichever duck. Is that a fried egg riding a bike? I think it's actually, if you're talking about what's in front of you, I think that's a bagel. It's a bagel with schmear, some, I think I see some cucumbers popping out of there, and maybe even some lox. Or tomato? Hard to tell. Probably smoked salmon. On the other side of the street? No, I didn't see it. I missed it. I see a pigeon, though. Just randomly walking by. How great. This dude is Disney printing it up so hard right now. Basically, nobody can see his face, but he's putting on full Disney Prince energy right now. Hard. I gotta say, the fanfare, or Disney knows how to do these things, okay? They have mastered the art of the parade, and they take this shit seriously. Like, everybody is definitely taking their job so serious. Dancing, doing all their Disney stuff. And honestly, in this moment, this is one of the moments where I appreciate that. If anything, parades are the time for all of that. Thank you very much. Yeah, what's up with that, Donald? What's up with your brethren over here not wearing pants in public?
Don't be creepy.
The wondrous world of anime, brought to you on the New York City streets. And to your phones by the Galactic News Network. Pants are tyranny. I thought it was Daffy. I did for a second. Look, I don't watch a ton of cartoons, okay, pal? It's not something I'm focused on heavily. Day to day, mostly. It has been a while. There was a time where I focused a lot on cartoons, but lately it's been mostly news stuff, Earth-based stuff, galactic domination-based stuff. Got a lot on my plate, okay? Bill's trying to get this burgeoning spacecast off the ground, literally and figuratively. You posted the egg in Discord, thank God. Thank God I'm not gonna have to go looking through that. We're just gonna skip past the NYPD. Go fuck yourselves. I don't know what this is. What am I looking at? Go fuck yourselves. I'm walking over here. Woo! What is this random robot doing in the mix? I'm so confused. What just happened? What are these robots doing in the mix here? A bunch of Raggedy Ann dolls and then two sad robots doing the robot. Although that's a great robot. I take it back. They're worth it. You belong. Elon's latest build. Honestly, looking pretty good. What is this, Toys R Us? Wait, Toys R Us float? Does Toys R Us even exist anymore? What are we looking at right now? What is happening? What year is it? Smack myself. Is it 2024 still? Oh right, no, Toys R Us still exists. They got bought out by private equity. There's like 3 stores left in the nation. They did. They went bankrupt and then private equity. I think BlackRock bought them? It's BlackRock? I don't remember. One of those assholes did it. Spirit of American Dance. Okay. Spirit of American Dance. Let's see it. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit. And this is the Spirit of American Waving, people. It's the Spirit of American Dance. Operative word being dance. Can we get some of that, please? Okay, fine. Just wave. No big deal. It's not like we were expecting any dancing from the Spirit of American Dance. Fine. Yeah, great. Exactly, Sasha. Sasha gets it. This is just normal walking that we're watching right now. This is not dance. And I am highly offended.
How rude.
Well, there you go, people. The Spirit of American Dance is walking. Wait, I've gone too far. Kung Fu Panda and DBZ? Oh boy. Oh boy. Kung Fu Panda and Goku in one go here. I don't know if I can handle it. Panda. 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 Now, unfortunately, pandas cannot do Kung Fu like this in real life. It would be much cooler. In fact, I think it would be great for panda publicity. If they could. Get the UPC going. Of course, the Ultimate Panda Fighting League. Exactly, Sasha. They just sit there and eat bamboo. It's off-putting. Okay, Wednesday float. Can we get a Wednesday dance, please? We even got someone pretending to be Wednesday up there, not even doing a Wednesday dance? That is offensive. What is up with the lack of dancing? I know it's raining, people, but we need a little bit more fanfare. Can we get the holiday spirit here, please? This is the long-awaited Goku float, which we were told is a new addition to this year's parade. It's really a historic event that we're witnessing right now. The debut of Goku. Okay. I think that's going to be it on this. Not the stream, don't worry. But just on the Thanksgiving Day Parade. Too much. We already got through half of it. That's plenty. And we saw the two newest additions, which was Goku and Spider-Man. So the rest is just sort of played out old stuff. Alright. Let's go back to talking about, you know, the lore around Thanksgiving. That being the ever portrayed Thanksgiving dinner between Native Americans and European settlers as being this very beautiful moment where peace and togetherness was had by all. Well, it's weird how history works sometimes. Let's go back to Oklahoma.
After the Civil War, many of the Plains Indians were moved to Oklahoma.
There's a place in the middle of North America with a story that you should know about.
This is Oklahoma.
It's not the one about the violent dust that pushed people out, or the novel about a homicide and a drought, or the songs and dances about rivalries between farmers and cowboys. It's the story of what happened before all of this. The story of checkerboard maps and lines and private property and broken promises. All because of this. This place was a dumping ground for the people that the US government wanted to get rid of, which is why today it has the second highest number of First Americans of any state. It was once a random rectangle that the US government used to ship native populations after they removed them with a new weapon of state power. Paperwork, treaties and payments and spreadsheets. Pretend justice. That's the story we talked about in part 1.
Illegal.
The next part is how these first Americans created a state of their own, fighting against their captors to retain one last shred of sovereignty over their land, the land that had been taken from them over and over again.
frontier people had remade a continent, the United States of America.
Hey, before we go on, let me tell you something disturbing, kind of, which is I recently learned that my name and all of my personal...
Okay, thank you, Johnny. We don't need your advertisements. I appreciate it.
Isn't for you. Thank you, Incogni, for helping me out here and also
Thanks,
for sponsoring today's video. So let's dive back into the story. Okay, so remember in part 1, I showed you how the US government used bureaucracy and a particularly horrible law to push out over 100,000 people, to push them off their land, many of them ending up here, in a little rectangle that the US called Indian Territory. And crucially, in the process of kicking these nations off their land, the US government promised that they would leave them alone, that they could live in peace, rebuild their lives, relearn their land.
Sure that went good?
So over the course of the 1800s, more and more tribes are exiled and arrive here to Indian Territory. The territory gets divided again and again as these tribes are crammed into this one rectangle, which results in this map. And a reminder that each of these nations had their own government and culture and language, and yet they were all dumped in this one place and labeled Indian. So they ended up here knowing that it would be hard, but okay, at least we can rebuild a new life without the anxiety of white settlers unfairly claiming our land.
Sounds...
Nope, here they come.
Oh, damn it, Johnny, why are you always doing that to me?
The movement was like a great tidal wave, sweeping westward past the Mississippi River.
Over in the east, the Americans had now convinced themselves that it was their literal destiny to keep spreading west. And as they're doing so, they stumble upon this rectangle that they thought they would never reach. But no, they're not allowed to settle here because it's allocated for Indians by trees, like real ironclad treaties.
So far.
Okay, but wait, here in the center of this map, you see this little section. What does that say? Here, let's look at a different map. Oh, unassigned land.
Unassigned.
Let's settle here.
When the land was thrown open to white settlers.
And by settle, I mean not like buy the land or sign anything. Just show up to this empty-looking flat area and just settle. Soon, these imperial squatters are farming the land. They're building a life, a society in the West, but right in the heart of the territory that the US government had signed treaties promising to first Americans. Oh, and by the way, I'm just gonna get this out of the way now. Maps around this time start to show this weird little panhandle that doesn't make any sense, literally called no man's land, because nobody really claimed it, and then a bunch of criminals started living here because there was no law. Anyway, someday I'll go into illegal. We're talking about Indian Territory, and word soon gets out that this place is the new trendy part of town. The federal government is kind of hesitant, like, wait a minute, we had promised these people this land, like, let's just back off. But the squatters kept coming and clamoring, and soon there was a railroad that was built that went right through here, bringing even more settlers. And finally, the government was like, fine, you can move in and settle in this one little section of unassigned land in the middle of Indian Territory. But
yeah, you can have this land that's definitely not ours, but you know, no big deal. You're already there. Might as well stay.
It's gonna be first come, first serve, and so we'll make it a race? Yes,
ooh, fun.
A race. Like literally there was a race. There was a starting line and there was a gunshot and 50,000 settlers hungry for new land in covered wagons dashed forth to claim some of this 2 million acres of unassigned land in hopes of getting cheap property and starting a new life. The tidal wave of Europeans
It's the great white race, people. And no, I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about this ridiculous competition here, which was apparently for white people only. Just wow. What a great history we have in America.
Of getting cheap property and starting a new life. The tidal wave of Europeans continues. They're hearing about these mystically huge plots of land in the West, the American dream. As unassigned land started to fill up, the settlers started to look around at all of this land that, yeah, technically had been promised to the natives, but they weren't really using it to farm, so like, no harm if we just sort of set up shop here, right? So they kind of start doing this, and the government has to get involved. So in 1890, they draw this line.
It cuts Indian Territory in half, leaving all of this as well as the random no man.
What a pragmatic solution. Okay, well, so these guys, they've been illegally taking the land that we said that you could have. So we're just going to draw an arbitrary line through your stuff and say, they get to keep this part. Where does this all... It's all sounding very familiar.
Land panhandle to become a new territory. They would...
It's almost like we're living through these times again in other places. But, America, we did it, well, I don't know if we're the first. No, we weren't the first, but we certainly perfected this sort of nonsense.
Line. It cuts Indian Territory in half, leaving all of this, as well as the random no man's land panhandle, to become a new territory. They would call it Oklahoma. So Indian Territory now is just this land for the 5 civilized tribes. That's what the federal government called them. But all the tribes that had lived here were now in the new territory of Oklahoma, and their land was suddenly up for grabs. And once again, here come the maps, and the documents, and all the stuff that basically made this feel like it was official and right. A lot of these maps have squares on them. Look at these squares.
Squares are the most authoritative shape.
Show us how differently European settlers and their government saw the world than the natives. The concepts of communal land use and lack of personal property that tribes abided by was considered backwards and uncivilized. From the European view, they're not using the land productively, so we need to create a system.
You're not growing enough corn on your land.
Titles to get the most out of this land. This process of
the corn that you showed us exists.
The land that had formerly been promised to natives was called allotment. And it meant taking tribal territory like this and drawing a bunch of straight lines to make it a massive grid. And then they would find out where native families were living and allow them to stay there. But everything else was up for grabs.
The signal was given and the race was on.
And here come more of those weird races, 4 more in fact, each bringing in floods of settlers into this land that had been promised by treaty.
Your cousin literally said they weren't using it as a justification for conquering America. Well, the thing is, Sasha, is that you may not clearly have known at the time, but your cousin was just being historically accurate. not that history was actually correct, but yeah, that was the justification we used for this atrocity.
To somebody else. And look, these maps start to fill up with names.
Tradition.
Julia DeLange
Tradition.
has this square. These are people coming from Europe looking for the American dream and finding maps full of squares and land to claim. Allotment. This real estate boom came with a marketing boom as well. Indian land for sale. Get a home of your own. Easy payments. Possession within 30 days. And look, they're advertising that here in 1911 that they have 350,000 acres available for sale. There is so much land up for grabs.
It's just like all this land just sitting around.
What we talked about in the first video, but just happening again in a different place by different people. It was maps and documents and bureaucracy, cutting down native sovereignty and culture square by square. With all of this carving up, settlers start outnumbering the indigenous people. The 5 tribes were still technically safe from all of this allotment for a time, but they saw what was coming. They had learned time and time again that the United States government, for all of their treaties and promises, never actually kept the agreements that they signed. And they...
So true. And so what did they do? They got together and decided to try and do some Western type stuff. They got some papers out, they started writing stuff down, they formed what you might call a constitution. But this one was a constitution formed by Native American tribes. Let's move ahead, we can't watch this whole thing.
Sequoia's constitution, so they just sort of took it for themselves. The
wait, sorry, we went too far.
Is basic.
Little too far.
Constitution, their solid proposal, their maps, all of it in hand, the tribal leaders went to Washington, ready to lobby for a state. And Congress didn't even look at the proposal.
Ah,
like they didn't even look at look at it. It wasn't like a debate. It's just like they just were like, no, of course
We're
not.
too busy
Like dead on arrival.
doing stuff.
First, just because of plain old politics. The Republican majority at the time didn't want a state that would mean more senators and congressmen for Democrats, something that Republican President Teddy Roosevelt especially didn't like. It was also about resources. Sequoia had oil and farmland that Oklahoma Territory didn't have. And we're gonna let the native people have like all these resources. But in addition to this, many white lawmakers didn't like the idea of a state run by brown people.
Follow the rich way.
Sequoia never became a state. If there was going to be a state, there could only be one. And indeed, 2 years later, a new map was drawn. All of this land that was going to be Sequoia was swallowed into a new state, the 46th, Oklahoma. But of course, they wouldn't throw away all the work that these tribes had put into Sequoia's constitution, so they just sort of took it for themselves. The Oklahoma Constitution is basically word for word what was written in Sequoia's constitution.
Wow.
One historian called it, quote, the ultimate cut and paste job.
So yeah, there's the history of Oklahoma there, nutshelled in a way is incredibly disturbing. Land stolen from Native Americans that was originally given to Native Americans by the U.S. government that was then taken away again by the U.S. government. And then, you know, when they tried to form their own state, we just said no, took the work they did on that constitution, because writing stuff is actually, it takes some time, and we just reused it and called that constitution the Constitution for the State Government of Oklahoma, number 46. And now they're 49th in education. How great. They're doing so good over there. Oh boy. All right, how are we doing on time? We've been going for an hour and 15. What other things we got for this Thanksgiving Day stream? The Thanksgiving rule should be Christo-fascists and Nazis out. Compromising morally compromises you. This is all very true. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for the super chat. Keeping this stream alive on Thanksgiving. All right. Let's go here. Snapshot of New York on Thanksgiving. By the way, this is going to be one of our last videos because I do have to end this stream soon. I'm supposed to be getting out of here in about an hour. To attend a giving with some friends. Yes, space Thanksgiving. Exactly.
We pass familiar sights that give every block its own personality. Liquor stores across the street from high-end art galleries, each a nod to the city's layered history. As we near the Bowery, the high-rises recede, giving way to the heart of a neighborhood that, for all its rough edges, is awake, with lives ready to be touched by a warm meal and shared moments of humanity.
See what I'm saying? You can only get so much food because, I mean, it's only 8:30. If you look how much food is already here, and that's not even all the food. That's not even making one phone call for this to happen. This just happens on its own. On its own, yeah. And the tables are set up. Dinner, start over there, bring food, to pizza and snacks, desserts, drinks. And after it's done, then the clothes come out.
Because some people are in need of more than just a meal. The aroma of food fills the air when he introduces me to a man with a gentle face and a story.
I was one of them.
Yeah?
Yes, all of them.
He came over with $2 in his pocket from his country, homeless. And now he's this pizza man conglomerate from New York to Miami, and a sushi restaurant now he opened. And he goes the extra mile every week, extra mile, all the time.
What a message that you can take from that is we all have the ability to change.
Legit. He came by himself from Turkey.
Nothing in our life is set in stone. One of the things about us is the fact that we have this boundless ability to change. I realized that when I met a man.
The surfs are going to be live after the show. Thank God somebody's got y'all covered here for the rest of the day. Thankfully, we have other. That's something we can give thanks for. Is other countries that aren't celebrating Thanksgiving today that are continuing to give you your necessary content.
We spent
on the
more than
YouTubes.
2 decades behind bars, but he refused to let that act define him. For Derek Lewis, his biggest worry right now is a delivery of provisions.
Hey, what's the status of the food?
Fortunately, it arrives with just enough time.
We got at least a half an hour.
Half an hour to cook for a graduation where he'll also be giving a speech.
Even though it's my life, it's just, I can't explain.
Derek's journey led him to prison for 21 years.
30 years ago, I was a very bad person. I got involved in a shooting. 2 people got shot and 1 person died. I have many regrets. I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am for the loss, the life that was lost.
He doesn't make excuses, just amends.
For so long, I took. Now I'm able to get back.
He also found that cooking has been cleansing. 15 years ago, Derek's lifeline was Project Renewal, a nonprofit with programs meant to empower lives.
Wow, that's a lot of
those facing
shrimp.
incarceration.
Holy shit, that's a lot of shrimp.
And there's so many barriers to getting employed.
Correct.
And this is one of the reasons we started the culinary training program, because there are so few barriers. We're trying.
Yeah, it's a good story. Who had good Thanksgiving family arguments? Well, Mitty, I don't think those family arguments have even begun yet. As on the East Coast, it's only 3:30 in the afternoon. Most people aren't even at the dinner tables yet. So those things aren't going to probably be happening for many, for a number of hours. We'll probably get some of those reports perhaps on the second Thanksgiving stream, which we'll be doing tonight at the normal time, hopefully. Fingers crossed, knock on galactic wood.
Teach and support people as they learn how to work. You've pretty much then got your foot in the door. Then what do you do with it?
Now, Derek Lewis is the manager of City Beat Kitchens.
Every day I can wake up and come to work. Everybody looks at me, with respect. I got a name. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of what I became.
The next challenge of the night is standing before this year's graduating class. Public speaking doesn't come naturally to him.
Bear with me, I'm a little nervous.
While he finds his composure,
Let me stand next to you.
a friend stood beside him, a supportive hand of encouragement, giving him a newfound resolve.
When people that you know for years come to you, they give you strength, they give you courage. I didn't let my past mistakes hinder me from achieving what I achieved today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely, baby. Absolutely.
And a reminder that sometimes our secret ingredient is a shared friendship that helps us savor the sweetness of life.
Project Renewal changed my life, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to give it back.
What do you think when you look across these streets and you see what you've created here?
Oh, I can't believe it, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'm blown away because there was times I wanted to walk away. I wanted to walk away because it was too much stress on me. I was doing this 5 days a week, by the way.
Why did that take over your personality?
I just knew that I was able to help, and I felt wrong about not helping.
We tend to think about this once a year during Thanksgiving, but this is a need every day. And you're doing this every single week. You're attacking food insecurity in the place where it's needed most. And it's got to be something that kind of fills your heart up a little.
And you know what fills me up with a different sense of things is this goddamn Whole Foods market right behind this guy. Really a sense of ire. I mean, what the fuck? Like, I'll bet, I can guarantee you Whole Foods makes more money than this guy. And I have no idea what he does for a job.
Fills it up completely.
Everyone deserves a chance to feel like they're part of this city. Maybe it's just a smile on the street or a meal that tells them they belong.
All right. Let's end it with this one right here. BBC from 9 years ago.
America can stand back right now and watch as my own people attack some of our traditional people for believing in our own Lakota way of life.
The media often portrays us as like these sad, like poverty-stricken people.
You know, there isn't that focus on who we are today.
We live on the poorest county in America. It's poverty-stricken, but just because we live in poverty don't mean we're poor.
Do you feel American?
Nah, I've always been taught we were Indian. We were Lakota first before we were anything else, before we were Christian, before we were American.
Okay, so I've just woke up on the Rosebud Reservation here in South Dakota. I'm on a beautiful ranch with lots of chickens and horses. I'm going to be spending a few days here sleeping in people's houses and in the Pine Ridge Reservation about 2 hours from here. I want to find out what it's like to live here, but also how younger people can envisage their future and how they feel about modern day America as a Native American.
I forgot. I should be reading.
Around
My bad, chat. An Indian reservation. There are 9 Indian reservations in South Dakota, home to more than 70,000 Native Americans. The reservations are some of the poorest areas in the United States.
Because all the drugs and alcohol.
So it's a very hard place to grow up in a lot of ways.
The majority of people that are working on the res, you know, you either work at the tribal office or IHS.
Not much to do around here. And when you do find something to do, you usually have to travel 20 miles or so longer.
There's a lot of suicides and that kind of stuff.
People lose hope and they feel maybe oppressed.
We've all fallen as teenagers around here, and we've all experimented with alcohol and things.
It's really sad to have alcohol here.
42% of the native population is below 24 years of age. Indian youth have the highest rate of suicide among all ethnic groups in the United States. Chronic alcoholism is thought to contribute to the high rates of death, domestic abuse, and unemployment on the reservation.
One thing about these kids here is they're survivors and they're fighters, and a lot of them are wanting change. They want something different. They want something better than our adults are leaving them.
We actually don't believe in the word Native American because Native American, it also has the word American in it.
They took everything from us. America's built on stolen lands. America is a stolen country.
We used to live with everything, you know, and now we're on these little reservations and we're all clumped together, and we shouldn't be like that.
Like non-natives see us as these historic people with loincloth and headdress.
Because you see the Washington Redskins, you see the Cleveland Indians, you see all of that, and it's a big joke, and you hear everybody knows the phrase drunken Indian.
Many young Native Americans are not happy with their negative image. They are now working on building a new identity for themselves.
We may live in this really rough situation, you know, and it's very real, but that there's hope and that our culture is alive still.
I think it's important for us to have, for our young people to have role models and to see other people going out and doing big things and coming back to the reservation and showing them that there's other things that out there and this is what we're doing and you can do this too, you know.
course, there's high rates of suicide and alcoholism on any reservation, but that's because of the lack of ability to express oneself.
Hi, we are Scattered Around. I'm Scotty Clifford.
And I'm Juliana Brown Eyes.
We recently just acquired a record deal out in Los Angeles, so that'll be fun. As much as we can do, and just to show children here at home that we really need to get away from the poor, pitiful, pissed off Indian.
All that matters now is what we do for ourselves. I'm gonna need you to do something with Sukala. I'm gonna need you to trust me.
This film is an opportunity to give, our youth, our native youth, kind of these heroes and heroines to look up to, I think that's something that I wanted when I was growing up, was to see someone like myself. You don't see a lot of native characters kind of leading in mainstream movies, in big blockbuster movies. It's always usually it's a predominantly white cast.
I want to see our people thrive and not get caught.
And it's not like indigenous peoples are, portrayed in positive lights or are protagonists in most stories, films, TV. I can understand why I can be frustrated with that.
Up in what outsiders think we are and stereotype us as, but rise up and show the world what we can do, basically.
All right, chat. Well, that's going to be it. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving if I don't see you later tonight. But I will be trying to stream in about 6-7 hours. So hope to see you all then. Otherwise, enjoy your Turkey Day. May the Galactic Force be with you. And go hit up the serfs. I still can't raid people, or I would raid the serfs, who I believe is live. People in chat were mentioning that, so go there. Spread the galactic word.